All right, big welcome to everybody who is able to join us today for our webinar entitled Best Practices for Listing Green Homes, a How-To and Intro to Resources. My name is Amanda Stinton. I'm NAR's Green designation. And as many of you know, green features in homes are becoming more and more prominent and more normalized. So it's now more important than ever before for creation to happen between the real estate world and the MLS world. So this month, the Green Resource Council is hosting this special collaborative webinar with the Council of Multiple Listing Service. It is aiming to educate multiple audiences about the importance of green data and green MLS data and green MLS information, and allows green designees and CMLS members to connect in a unique platform in a unique way. As I mentioned before, we are recording today's webinar. We will make it available to both Green Designee and CMLS members after the fact. In general, we're going to offer an overview of a few different resources and information about green fields that will ultimately help uncover some best practices for listing green homes. So I'm pleased to say we're joined by a really excellent panel of people today that spans across industries, and just these folks, but everyone will offer a bit about themselves before they jump into their section of presentation. As I mentioned, my name is Amanda Stinton. I work with the National Association of Realtors. We're joined today by Danae Evans, who is the CEO of the Council of Multiple Listing Services, or CMLS. For those of you who might not be aware, CMLS is the professional trade organization that serves MLS entities all around the U.S. and has a mission of advancing the MLS industry and improving the real estate market by empowering providers. They're running over 1 million subscribers nationwide as well. She has been CEO there for a few years, and since becoming CEO, she's become a recognized voice in the MLS industry and has been a longtime advocate of green data issues as well. Meg Garabrandt, and Meg is the Director of Marketing and Communications at Niren MLS. Niren serves more than 10,000 users, and Meg's really been an advocate and a vanguard for greening the MLS for about 10 years, since 2008. Works with the states of Vermont, New Hampshire on home energy score development programs, and she also serves currently as the chair of the CMLS Green Section Council, which is a key to putting together some of these resources today. And then finally, we're joined by Michael Hobbs, or will be joined by Michael Hobbs, who is president of Paru Appraisal and Consultancy in Chicago. Paru is a multidisciplinary real estate and appraisal firm located here in Chicago. Michael does a lot of local speaking and really helps realtors understand how to benefit from data and healthy homes, and he and I work together a bit in Passive House as well. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and dive into today's presentation. Some of the learning objectives for today, and you all saw this possibly earlier, we're going to look at some of the importance of using green MLS fields. What's the reason that all of this is happening and all of this is accelerating within our industry? It's available for all home types, and it's getting a lot of attention from different organizations, so we're going to address that a bit. We're also going to get a tour of 2 new resources that came out of the Council of MLS that address only best practices, which is a great new resource, but also a quick guide for implementing green fields. Take a look at some of the best practices that make realtors an invaluable resource to clients, which is always a conversation that's top of mind. And then finally, some specific how-to information on realtors and MLSs pairing together and working together to create the largest impact. So let's start with this integral question here. Why does green MLS data matter? We have seen at the NAR level, we've seen changes in policy, we've seen standardization, we've seen attention at national conferences. Green MLS data really is taking a lot of momentum in the industry right now. So at the most basic level, I just want to highlight a few things today, and the first is that green MLS fields to highlight specific features within properties. Many of you are probably thinking, I already know this, what's the deal? I want to tell a bit of a story here, though, about what these features benefit is on the broader scale of the industry. They highlight features that focus on things like energy efficiency or home performance within a property. This is to say, and I think one of the most perhaps overlooked pieces about green MLS fields is that a home does not need to be a green certified or an uber green home, let's say, for a green MLS field to be a beneficial for a listing agent to have. So if you have a home that is, has a brand new heating and cooling system, that's something that a green MLS field can highlight, even if the home has gone into, let's say, a LEED certification or not Energy Star qualified. So it's really important to look at the almost the granular level of this to be able to pull out the features that focus on green items. The reason behind that is because there's research out there, all in our industry, that repeatedly shows that consumers are looking for the benefits that green home features provide. So the bits that really come from greener homes are things like cost savings through reduced operating costs, energy conservation, lower maintenance costs for living and owning a home, improved energy efficiency, that control that comes with being able to turn on or off your lights or manage your thermostat from a device, a phone or a smartwatch. And then more and more conversation is happening about this idea of wellness and improved health home environments. Green MLS fields can help pick out each and every one of these benefits that consumers are looking for to really increase the value proposition that realtors are offering to their clients. And the MLS user standpoint, it's really important to know how to find these features that we know consumers are looking for, because historically realtors are problem solvers. Right? Realtors work with clients who are looking to make a change or do something different from the current house to their new house. And green MLS data fields are a way that realtors can help solve consumer problems by pulling and highlighting the specific features that we know consumers are interested in. Point here, I suppose, is twofold. So first of all, here's three main reasons why green data matters. First of all, that homeowners are looking for a certain lifestyle, a certain type of thing, and research is repeatedly pointing to the fact that comfortable, safe, and affordable living spaces are high on the list. Greener homes tend to be all of those things. Second item is that listing home energy information in a way that is standardized is the first step to higher quality data that sits with the property and is supported transaction after transaction. And then the third piece is that home buyers are confident. It's not when there's data available about a property that is verified and supported with standardized and then also visual information, which Michael and Meg will get into a little bit further down the road. The NAR strategic priorities side, it's also important to frame this, I think, from the realtor perspective. And it's in two ways. There's two items here that have been pointed out. And the first is NAR's interest in taking management of real estate data to the next level. That's this piece here. And you can look at those subpoints there. These are strategic priorities that extend across the entire association of NAR, and something that our leadership at NAR is really focused on doing. Here is to increase the value proposition that the realtor provides to consumers, helping to support the second piece here as ensuring that realtors remain essential to consumers in an age of technology and data and so on and so forth. So hopefully today, as we're walking you through some of the details of these two new benefits, this primer about green MLS fields will help support the reason, the why, behind two of these new resources from CMLS, and then we'll show you some tips and tricks on how you can go out today and really benefit from the green MLS field in your market, because this is in every market. So let's go ahead and switch it over to Danae whenever you're ready.
Hey, having me, Amanda. Confirm.
Can hear you. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Danae Evans, and Amanda did give me a little introduction. Thank you, and talked about CMLS, or the Council of Multiple Listing Services. We have 213 MLS members actually across North. We now have one in Mexico, and we have some members in Canada as well. So our goal is to better support MLSs and help build a better marketplace in support of the realtor, being a key part of the transactions, meeting the needs of their consumers, their customers. So I would like to share a little bit why CMLS was completing these resources and getting all of this information put together for the MLS site. And one, I think it starts a little bit with my history, which previous coming on at CMLS, which I'm just over 3 years now, I did run the Home Performance with Energy Star program for the state of Nevada and worked with the Energy Better Business program as well. So my whole getting this job today started in this very space of how important I believe energy efficiency is and healthy homes and smart homes to meeting the needs of the consumers. I laugh thinking back now, I was finishing my degree in about, I think it was 2011, and went to speak with a professor wanting to take a class that was sustainability in housing, and he said to me, "Do you really want to waste your time on this? This is just like a fad and a buzzword right now." And I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And so now I love looking at it and saying, today a buzzword, it's no longer a trend. It's mainstream. This is what the consumer wants, and it's so exciting to see that change over these last few years to that want. And so how are we able to help provide the information so that you can access that easily? And Gwen and I were first talking about doing this possibly. She said this a little bit different in the way that it's full if we can come at this together. So both the side of the MLS side as well as the realtor. And when we get that really strong relationship between you and your market and finding that person at your MLS who is passionate about this and can help you make a bigger impact. So the resources, I think, when we split them, have been with a mindset that it would also be just helpful for a realtor to pick up and read through it and help make them more knowledgeable and educated on what it is, all the information that's in there or available in there, along with helping the MLSs know what's put in there and how they can go about doing it. So I would just encourage you, the idea was that we would have MLSs and working together just because it becomes so much more impactful. With that, I wanted to go over today a couple of resources that we have crafted over the last few years I've been at CMLS. Right when I came on board, we had completed a best practices document and topics in it from finance to customer service. And a big piece missing was about green data, because I believed that it was so important where we were going as an industry and what was going to be required. So I pushed, and I had support from my leadership. I think, Amanda, you worked even with some of my previous executives or directors, helped do some of the early resources. And so definitely have the support there, but just bringing it home. And so I'm so excited to share with you what I have done. And we're only going to review 2 of these today, but I wanted to put them all on there so you see what is available for you to access. And, you know, I've been involved in the production of each one of these over the last couple of years. Just when I was getting ready for this presentation, just going back through and reviewing what information in each one of those and why we had produced them at each time. I mean, there's just some great information in there. It's very exciting. So I would definitely encourage you. Our website, thecouncilofmls.org, or you can type in cmls.org. And under the tab there that's called Research, And if you just scroll down there, you can find the full green data best practices, which I'm so excited. We just released 2 weeks ago, and that's been a long time in the works, and it's just a beautiful document with a lot of great resources in there for you. So go there, you can print all of them, bookmark them, whatever you need, but I would definitely encourage you to use them and share. It's a great thing if you wanted to share it just with your real office, or take it into your MLS. Is something there? How can we get training on it? I say I want to help create pieces. So something put out on a table and people can grab and start talking about and brainstorm and come up with plans so that we can start making impact. My first, let me here. Let me switch the screen. So this is what I was saying, what we just released a week ago, the Green Data Best Practices. So we did add to our collection of best practices in finance, and that I can get to really quick. They just changed WebEx on us, so appreciations if I switching. So jump over to page 12 here. This is just creating a plan. So we've really tried to lay it out so it's super easy for you to grab this and not be overwhelmed. I would encourage you to definitely start here. It is overall, I think it's 36 pages. Let me double check. Yep, 6 pages. There's a lot of pictures in there, so don't be overwhelmed. It should not take you that long to read through, but I would just really encourage everyone that's on this call, download it, read through it, take it to the coffee shop, right bed. It's not going to get you too well, it'll get you all excited because there's some really good stuff. So don't do it right before bedtime. But here it is. Here's a plan right here. Here's your first step. Let's walk through that. Trying to make it as simple as possible. Just give you a quick peek here, what's available. Market stats. So this is a great map that's just showing where is information about solar. Where's the big hot market? What do you need to know? So we tried to put some information that helps you share the value of it, talking points, and the most resources that you would need to make impact here. This, for me, has great talking points in it. You want to make the case to either your clients, your MLS, or MLS to your realtors of why this is important and why we want to start implementing it. I think green data is just simply meet consumer demands by serving their customer needs. So again, MLSs are serving the realtor, but then we always have to keep in mind, and I've been a big advocate, how do we support the realtor to be the expert to their clients? And I think this is a very great value proposition or value add discussed. So I'd encourage you to review these, and then just a quick, if I can. Oops, I did 33. So here is this self-assessment or our checklist that we're doing that you can go through. We call them the checklist. So you can go through and verify, have you implemented these things? If you haven't, why haven't you? Do you want to do it? If you'll notice up there, there's 2 columns that says just getting started. So we'll say that's step 1 if you're going to do something. But if you really want to go to the next step, or maybe you've already started some stuff, but you want to go to the next level, there's the best practices. So what we say is best in class. I think as you listen to the presenters, the next couple of presenters, you're going to see where they're really operating a lot more even in the best practices, getting started, but best practices, and then some best in class implemented either in their own businesses or at their MLS. And so I encourage you to go look at this checklist. You can take it back, talk about it with your MLS, or just understand what's out there. So this is in the back part of it. So then let me switch back over to the, I want to go to here. There's 2 sheets. The green sheet, this is just a 2-page document. The green sheet, automated efficiency models. I just mentioned it. most people are familiar with AVMs. This is the 8M. So I just put to tie it in. There's a lot happening with automated prediction of the energy efficiency of a house. This 2-pager is great for quickly describing those. I would encourage you to look at that. With a quick sheet on the solar power fields. Pages, so a little bit more information. Again, there's some more specifics there of if it has solar, what does it mean to you? What do you need to look at for about this house if you're going to be listing it, and what information is to be captured. And then the next piece that we wanted to go over today, and I'll be finishing up here, is a quick start guide. Once you've decided to do it or wherever you're at, this just walks you through so simply. I'll give you a couple pages here, and hopefully this will teach you a little bit into just downloading each one of these. I printed them operation. It took me, and they're just great stuff. It wouldn't take that long to read through even all of these if you don't have them. Terminology tips, all the drop downs. I mean, how simple is that just to have it right there in front of you to think about it. So really great stuff in here, and it's just to start this, but I will give credit. RESO, Real Estate Standards Organization, has done a huge amount of work to put stuff together. As long as everyone is, the Data Dictionary Standard, it's really tried to make it super simple. And I was talking about going to the next level, adding best practices. So there's the start, there's the best practices, and then there's best in class. There we go, approaching best in class. I would just encourage you to download each one of those, have them available, really make yourself the expert on each of these, and continually visiting, because I feel like it is changing so quickly, it's gaining so much speed within the market. Definitely encourage you to stay up to date on those and these resources. They're from to just why we're doing it down to the technical of the how to do it. And I think it does a great job of helping us all speak from the same language. So between you, your client, your MLS, and with providers, you might have business partners who are providing you extra tools. The last thing I have on here is the Home Energy Information Guide. This, I believe, the very first one that we produced. It was in partnership with the Department of Energy, and I think it might be, I did a presentation here locally at my and I mean, everyone just kept coming up to me afterwards saying how great it was and helpful, and the information, and it was just a resource. So I think that is all of my stuff that I had notes to cover for today. So with Amanda, or actually not Amanda, I will finish up and hand this over to Meg. And I would just encourage you again, we accomplish so much more when we're working together. And so that's why you might have, Amanda's going to send out contact information. Please reach out to me. I'd be happy to connect you to your local MLS and find you partners there, or just any feedback or questions that you might have on these resources. Love to hear them. And with Meg, I think you are now the presenter.
Thank you, Danae. I am Meg Garabrand, as Amanda introduced at the beginning. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at the NARNA MLS. We service 6 states, but are the primary MLS for the states of New Hampshire and Vermont. We service over 10,000 users, and I have been working to green the MLS since 2008. So what I wanted to do today is, I can get my controls to work. Here is, Danae talked about the guides and the resources that are available to you, is to really walk you through how our MLS works with our membership and the resources that we had available at the time to actually implement these things. To give you one example of how an MLS has utilized these tools and resources and gotten to sort of where we are today with home performance field adoption. The process has been ongoing. As I indicated, I started this in 2008. 2009, we added some fields and selections to our MLS database. In 2010, we added an index score. We made these available out on data feeds that we were sending out. We added a HERS database resource into our software for members to use as a resource tool for them. And then a couple of years ago, we were in a unique position to switch primary MLS software vendors. So we did a sort of massive overhaul, especially with the RESO Data Dictionary, which was the Real Estate Standards Organization. A lot of work had been done at that point, but to adopt and provide recommendations for green fields and MLS systems. So we did our last big work just about a year and a half, 2 years ago. If you build it, they will come is a thing, important component, but communication and collaboration with your membership is also really important. The fields and the selections that you're going to add to your MLS need to be relevant to what your practitioners are seeing in your marketplace. So we utilize focus groups periodically, sometimes surveys, as well as outreach from the MLS to various entities in our area that work in this space to find out what's being built, what are the resources being used, and materials to make sure that the elements within our MLS are pertinent to our specific market area. Communicating with members about these tools and resources is very important. We have a variety of resources available to our members with different documents that explain the power production fields, the green marketing fields. We have the Appraisal Institute's addendums in there related to residential and commercial. We do have a HERS reference document for properties in the state of Vermont that have a HERS score. Some members can look that information up as well. So we have tools we utilize to help provide this information to our members to use. Listing input forms is a critical component. Obviously, if somebody's out listing appointment, they need to know what fields are available and the information that they have available to collect and then entered into the MLS. So we broke ours up into a couple of different sections. The green marketing and third-party verification fields are in one section. The marketing fields really are kind of high-level informational type items. Third-party verifications is where you'll get into the specific certification that a property may have on it. They have the power production section, which deals with solar PV, and also in some instances, wind may be a relevant power production tool to indicate as well. And when we put these fields into our listing maintenance system, we recognize that not every property is going to have these types of features and characteristics. So in our particular software platform, we have different categories and buckets for fields. So we put these in their own specific buckets so that if a property doesn't have this type of information associated with it, a member can easily skip over it. So looking at the member experience in utilizing these fields is also an important component to consider as well if you're working to add more fields into your database or add in new fields and where those might be located. A lot of different selections available for home performance indicator fields within primary categories as well, like appliances, construction equipment, heating, and things. So rather than breaking those out into green or home performance specific areas, we incorporated these elements within the primary categories that we already had existed in our database. An example of some of those fields in our electric and financing sections related to primarily PV. So one of the things we were able to do the end of last year, which is best in class the best practices guide is auto-population of green. We're able to identify a publicly available source of solar PV data in Vermont, and we have that auto-population right now as a pilot since October of last year for our members to auto-populate that solar PV data into their listing. So it's incorporated into our tax and public records database that we had in place already that had an auto-population process associated with it. So we worked with our different vendors and had them pull in the power production data into their tax and public records database, and it is a part of the basic property information that auto-populates into a listing when a member utilizes this tool. So this is sort of how it looks like. What you'll see on the left side of the screen are the data elements related to this particular property with PV, and then the auto-population on the right of that data into the power production fields in listing maintenance. So it's a visual to see how it translates through the process there. So once entered into the MLS system, it's very important for it to be able to be located as well. So we have a variety of different ways that our members can search for this. We have basic search templates that are available, but our software is very customizable at the user level, so our members can add in the power production, the verification fields that they wish to search into their search forms and save those so that this is something that they use regularly. It's really available to them with one click of a button. We also have different ways to view the data within our system. We have property reports as well as kind of a spreadsheet, summary view, which can also be customized, and this is just an example of what that looks like within a particular system. So some tips on searching. This is a search screen right here that you're looking at. A couple of different elements of the search screen there. Customize our result summaries, which we call spreadsheet views. Our members can select fields that they wish to evaluate, and then that information is available in that lower image there if it's related to power production and if it has building verifications. One of the things that we felt important in our market areas, you can see there's power production and then 3 columns of building verification data points. In our market area, we have seen examples of more than one solar PV install on a particular property. So for us, it made sense to include 2 field sets, numbers to accurately represent that. You can see we also have a property there with wind as a power production. And we added 3 sets of the green building verification fields. So again, we're making the decisions on what to add and things. It's really important to work with the practitioners who are out in the field and maybe even the energy auditors to see what is happening in your marketplace so that you can capture all of the data. So for us, power production, 2 sets of power production fields and 3 sets of building certification fields were most appropriate for our marketplace, so that's what we added. We did create 2 specific reports that have all of the home performance or green fields included on them that are available in our MLS database with agent level and a customer level report. And this is just a sample report here that we use a test listing to populate every single resource related to building verifications and power productions here. We do include components of some of these on our general property reports so that if somebody is not using a specific green report, the presence of these visible on the other reports, indication that there might be more, and so the agent will go dig a little bit deeper. Once obviously consumers are looking for this information, so we do provide all of these data elements out into our data feeds that we offer to third-party syndication sites, our own MLS public website, and make them available to them. Most of them I can still say are not displaying data on those property reports. We do on our own public-facing website, NARN.com. So that is a great way to differentiate our local MLS website against the national portals in having that comprehensive information. Types of places we send the data. There are broker sites as well, broker and agent sites. Training. So once you have this information in there, it's obviously very important that you let your members know that this is available. We utilize a variety of different ways to communicate that with our membership, with MLS system notices. We do publish a monthly newsletter to our members that includes the latest enhancements. The MLS blog that we utilize to archive a lot of messages and information. We provide live training. We talk about these things out at member meetings. We offer webinars, and we have a MLS YouTube channel that we post our recorded webinars and various tutorials on. So it's a variety of different communication channels, as well as the frequency of the communication. That's really important because the momentum of properties that are having these features and attributes is growing every single day because they're now starting to hit the market more and more. So agents are needing to be aware of these types of things when maybe they didn't need to know about it before because they hadn't listed any properties that had these types of features and characteristics. So engagement with members about these resources is very important. And then I think lastly here is kind of measuring the impact that this has. So I apologize that these two documents are not completely up to date. It is an ongoing project here. So the small chart on the left is a snapshot of our MLS. So we're looking at listings in the state of Vermont in our particular MLS, and how many of them had solar PV listed as a feature of that particular property. So you can see it's grown. Obviously, there was a significant jump from 2016 to 2017, where we separated those fields out from where we had them previously into that power production section. So that did have an impact in capturing more data. That we did have the ability to indicate solar previously, but it was buried in some other fields. So pulling that out had an impact. And looking at the utilization of the auto-population process, based on the completeness of the data, which is really the only benchmark I had to gauge by, we were looking at about 17% of those listings had actually used the auto-population process. So there's still significant room for improvement and one-on-one member learning opportunities there. So I've actually called listing agents with these and said, hey, you have a property with PV. Did you know about this process you can use to capture the production data in greater completeness? And no, I didn't. So great way to kind of see where things are at and recognize that there's always going to be opportunity for improvement there. And the chart on the right is just, again, looking at the 4 states that we serviced at the time, again, primarily New Hampshire and Vermont, with a heavier focus on Vermont. You can see the properties that listed that had some certifications included. So taking a look at this periodically is a great way to see what impact these data elements are having on properties. And I believe that sums up the sort of MLS implementation summary to give you some examples. The Best Practices Guide has a lot of other great examples of other MLSs throughout the country as well, and screenshots and visuals as to different means of implementation. So I would encourage you certainly to take a look at that to see perspectives from other marketplaces and how they have worked with these fields in their system. So I am going to hand this over to Michael. Okay. Michelle, set.
Very much. I appreciate it. So, both Megan and Danae touch on, there's such an opportunity here as we move through the adoption of these type of fields. My name is Michael Hobbs. I am an MLS member here in the Chicagoland area. I've been both a real member and currently an appraiser member. MAI and SRA designations, as well as the lead associate. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And for those of you that are joining by audio, I'll try and give you a quick overview of what the slides are. Since most of us are on the web video, you'll be able to see these. But obviously we know and we continue to see that the trend in green is growing, and with the adoption of information in an environment that everyone is searching. And when people are searching, if you don't have information out there, they can't find you. We work with a lot of brokers. We work with a lot of brokerage firms. We also work with utility companies as well as MLSs in terms of help understand what is the impact of having data. And that's really what I hope to convey here in this short amount of time. As one realtor shared with us, look, give the customers what they want in terms of information. They will come and pay me. And really the highlight in all of this is we see here the trend in green construction, homes that are sustainable and high performance continue to increase. This slide shows the concentration of Energy Star homes around the United States. For many of us that are around this conversation, the energy codes are what's driving this trend, and that's what this slide highlights in the multicolored smattering of the United States. Some of the coastal regions with much greater adoption of recent energy codes, and some of the central parts of the United States being a little further behind. But nonetheless, energy is an important factor, as well as the notion with smartphones and technology today of control to comfort, as well as cost savings. This slide highlights some competitive information of builders showing that there was a small incremental cost to them to be able to provide energy efficient improvements to home, and the significant savings to the buyers, to the next owners, so the first-time home owner occupants, which are our realtor clients' bread or focus. So if we can't get that information in front of the potential buyers who are looking for it, they can't and actually acquire these homes in the process. Many of you have probably already seen the National Association of Realtors 2018 Sustainability Report. I want to call out two important statistics. 71% of respondents said the value of energy efficiency in promoting of a listing was either valuable or somewhat valuable. That's nearly 3/4 of all respondents saying, hey, this is something to take note of. Actually, when we think about it, why does it matter? Well, at the end of the day, if we don't provide the buyers what they're looking for, they're going to choose something or someone else. So in this case, since many of our attendees are actually and brokers, really want to share with you what several of you here in the Chicagoland area are doing, and several of your peers around the country that we've worked with are doing. They differentiate themselves that allow the use of data, which is available for the implementation of the various fields can be adopted, so people can actually find it. So you got to show them why there's value. You want to tell them why, and then you want to have someone else validate it. So here, for those of you that can't see this, this is a listing sheet in Chicago. Danae, about the importance of auto-population. In the city of Chicago, they were able to put together an auto-population of the annual amount of energy consumption of a property. Transformative. This is never available, never previously been available. So if you think about it, if you have two properties and your client is looking at one property versus another, and one property is going to disclose the energy consumption, that gives them a sense of confidence, and it's validated because it's coming direct from the utility companies. That information is powerful for a potential buyer. Well, a realtor here in Chicagoland area goes so far as to actually put signage on the property. So it's not enough that he just makes sure to populate the fields that are available here in MRED in the Illinois area. He goes as far as to actually put signage on the properties. Why does it? Well, you have an informed client who's actually seeking to buy a home that has ratings, maybe a third-party rating, such as Energy Star, or LEED, or Green Globes, or any number of other third-party validated performance attributes of the home. If it's not in their MLS to be able to search, they can't actually find it. So a home that would otherwise be rated, the realtor member doesn't use or doesn't ask the property owner for that data to actually put into the multiple listing service. People looking can't find it. Here's an example on this screen where this same realtor uses captivating sites and photos in their MLS listing. So instead of showing a bathroom photo, they're actually talking about the solar upgrade option. They're talking healthy upgrades in the home, behind the wall that you can't see. They're also talking about the importance of air quality, a continuing air development that most of us are unaware of and has significant impact on our health. Here's a listing sheet of that photo I just showed, and there's a lot of information. I'm going to blow it up on the follow-up slides. But again, we need to be able to show them this information. We can show it to them visually. We can also show it to them textually. And you also see in the bottom right corner, I'm going to blow up all three portions of this slide for you. The next thing is you look here in the center part, this an expanded text capability. It talks about no VOC paint. It talks about a full solar package. It talks about a near $0 per year electric bill. And they provide an energy guarantee, this builder does, as well as the fact that they have submitted for and were waiting to be approved for LEED Silver, and that they use locally harvested materials. Granted, this was textual information, but as you'll see on the next screen, they also have the individual fields that were selected so that on a search criteria, they would show up. This is also a property we are intimately familiar with as we worked with the builder pre-construction, through construction, and turnover to the homeowner. So it was quite an impressive experience. So I mentioned here are some, but not all of those fields that can be filled out by the realtor member, and they noted it had a HERS index score of 45. And they did include a green disclosure form, and that the rating target was LEED Silver, and then a number of other features such as photovoltaic, tankless hot water heater, enhanced air filtration, and native drought-resistant landscaping. They also touched on the importance of third-party information, such as the Appraisal Institute, Residential Green and Energy Efficient Addendum. That's a great additional supplement that can go along with a listing to people to understand what is associated with this. Again, if they can't find the data, they can't select your property. And using those same visual clues, they're also information-oriented. So today, many buyers, many potential buyers and people in the market are seeking information. Make sure you're providing it. It's another way to do this. And again, the beauty of having a third-party verification is that it's not you, individual realtor member, who's saying that. It's someone else who has credibility. We live in an environment today where third-party comments on reviews, think any of these, where they're Angie's List or Yelp, these things influence people's behavior. Why not have it come to your advantage? As I mentioned earlier, and here's a blow-up of that slide where it shows the annual utility costs of that property. Now you recall that that property had a list price noted in the upper right-hand corner of about $250,000. Interestingly, the total annual utility costs on this property are actually 1% of that purchase price. This type of information was never previously available, and it is because of a conscious choice by the MLS to actually adopt fields so they can incorporate this information. Some work that our friends at Elevate Energy had done, and it identified that Chicago homes that disclose energy costs spend less time on the real estate market. When you like to sell your homes faster, we have a great opportunity if you can include just a few pieces of information that you could save a week, maybe even half a month, or even a month off your listing time. What's in you in terms of dollars in pocket through the benefit of the multiple listing service providing that type of data. Here's a quick that shows the distribution of herded homes that closed over the last 5 years preceding data, and we see the trend continues to grow. For what it's worth, because of the data that's on MRED, we're able to produce green market reports that allow our firm to help not only the realtor members, but also buyers and sellers, as well as builders, understand what is the market currently choosing. Again, this information wasn't available even just a couple years ago before MRED chose to be an early adopter on a lot of these fields and incorporated them. Very interestingly, people love this slide. It's a pie chart showing most popular features. Here is one that people love to see, especially our builder clients, where they, based on the analysis we were able to perform for our MLS members, the average sale price per square foot of Energy Star, LEED, and non-rated homes. And in this case, our small analysis did indicate a premium on a per square foot basis for the third-party verified homes, which, at the end of the day, if you get to sell 2 properties, sell the higher-priced one. Additional market data we were able to pull together all in because of information that's available in the MLS, and it showed that on average, we can see that rated homes had the propensity to sell for a higher sale price than the mean or average sale price in the marketplace. In some cases, as much as 3% higher. And then what I've included, along with some of our other peers around the country, and some great work that they're doing. Since is one of them there over at Pearl, with a recent study that indicated that there was a 5% premium for certified homes where they had marketed it effectively. They used the fields that were available to convey the premium features of the home so that buyers could find them. Here's another statistic from a single-family and green project that was done by McGraw-Hill, showing buyers will pay more for homes. Here's a study that was done out in Southern California. It said that third-party rated homes, again, the ability to search and find properties that are validated for preference, had 9% premium. Here's another search project out on the East Coast. We heard a little bit earlier about high-performance homes, whether solar or without. This showed a 2 to 5% premium. Here was a study that showed that Energy Star homes achieved $5,500 premium and sold in 90 days sooner. So again, quick run through, because I know we're tight on time, but again, if you give the customers what they're looking for, they will flock to you. This one particular realtor in the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago basically owns the market because of his focus on energy efficiency and doing a great job of using the local MLS to get the right information into the respective fields, as Danae talked about a little earlier and Meg introduced, and more importantly, to then get that out into the marketplace so people actually flock to him. I always quote that, why did Willie Sutton? Rob said, that's where the money's at. Look, we can see that it's there. There's research that supports it. We just encourage you to get online, adopt the fields, reach out to any of us here. I'm going to turn it back to Amanda and the rest of my panelists. But in this short period of time, again, thank you. My name is Michael Hobbs, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of the value of why this data is so important.
Great so much, Michael, and thank you to all of our panelists for great presentations today and really just covering, there's so much information in this area. We're scheduled to go to noon Central Time, which only gives us a few minutes for questions. I do have I have several questions actually, so anybody who would like to stick around and listen to the Q&A, I'm going to dive deeper into some of the items that the panelists talked about. If you'd like to access the recording afterwards, you can do that as well. Let me start just a general question for all of our panelists. Let's start a little bit asking if you can address or discuss the value of having both green designees and MLS staff, green members and CMLS members on this webinar together. Can you talk to that collaboration?
Yeah, I'm Danae, and I'd be happy to see some of the questions come through. The reason I sent it to my MLS members, and I know you sent it to your members as well, because the power of bringing those two together, where I said, hanging from the same hymn book, I can talk about it together. I really think there was so much value to hearing Meg talk about her perspective, MLS exec, and I was looking through the attendee list, and there was quite a few MLS people on this call. And so they are passionate and they are interested in continuing to get this in market. And then I think the practitioners as well, the realtors, to hear that MLS exec's voice done. How has she helped drive the market for this as well and foster that environment? So I think if my goal and why I think that it was so good to do together is when we can get to people that are passionate about what they're doing and that they're educated on it, the impact in that market can be huge. And so I would say if there's anyone on this call that you're a realtor saying, you know, who do I connect with locally so that I can do that? If you're an MLS exec, maybe you can talk to Amanda. Do you know anybody in my area that it's like, I just have to know so that we can make bigger impact is why motivation was and why I thought that it was helpful to, rather than talk in our silos, let's come together and talk about how we can make a better impact and just understand both sides of the equation.
Great.
If I may just add as well, you know, I found from our MLS perspective anyways, with regard to these fields and the property features that we chose to include, it was a significant collaboration project with our members. You know, we as MLS staff are not out in the field practicing and don't know what types of features and elements that the properties are having necessarily. So this is an important conversation to have between users and MLS staff to come together and really figure out the right data points to include in MLS. So I think this is a great opportunity to bring both of those audiences together to hopefully initiate or have those further discussions and collaborate together and cooperate together on making sure that the fields that are being provided are relevant to the local market that the MLS is servicing.
And this is Danae again. If I can add one more to that project of getting the feedback, I had another note about how important that feedback loop is. There are a lot of people say about getting involved with their MLS, they don't have enough time to be on board of directors or the committee. I think in this case, there was a few questions that came in that, you know, get this feed to it, or how do I get this webinar in front of my MLS? I would encourage you to reach out to someone at your MLS and just take a lunch. That's not that, you know, or just to visit with them, just encourage that engagement with your MLS. If I can be involved in any way to help make those connections and get this moving, I would love to do that. But it doesn't have to be a big commitment, but just reach out, make a connection between you and just get that feedback loop, that conversation, that relationship going. I think just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, Danae, can you and or Meg comment on this idea and this conversation around standardization and available fields? Specifically, I have a question here about us is going through and reviewing the available green fields and removing some of them that the MLS didn't necessarily find value in. Can you talk about how that's changed even in the past 2 or 3 years?
I would be happy to speak to that, as I've been a participant in some of those discussions at the standards level as well. You know, I think that there was a recognition at the national level and with RISO that, you know, real estate is local. We still need to speak the same language. And with all of the various parties that are involved in a real estate transaction, from a listing to the close, it was important to have standardization of data points and data elements to not only help streamline the transfer of data, but for all of those different parties to be able to improve efficiencies, having data standards, and what specific fields that are in MLS's database should be relevant to the market area, and if a decision was made to remove a particular field, then maybe there was no use of it or something. I don't know the specific circumstances around that, but the adoption of data standards really helped processes, improve efficiencies. In our specific case, when we initiated the PV auto-population process, it took our implementation time down from months to really hours, and it was so easy to do because everybody was speaking the same language and everybody had the same field formats, and it really helped to streamline and improve processes and efficiencies there. So in a roundabout way, I hope that answered the question.
No, Meg, I think you're spot on, and I want to unpack that a little bit more. So two pieces in around that same answer that the answer just gave. The first is you're talking about the field should be relevant to the market area. So in that vein, I'd like to ask, how can we use the information that's available to us and our members to help educate the MLSs in certain areas what is relevant in their area based on demand? And then the second piece is you talk auto-population and the idea of feeding information directly into a listing. It means to reduce liability. So let's talk about those components related to data standardization and how that has helped and can help move this nation along. Did any comments on that?
Did we lose her?
Whoop.
Amanda, this is Danae. I have a note here. I think to help understand what is important in your market, where I mentioned I came from before was the programs. So most areas will have programs that are helping to promote this. This was the Performance with Energy Star program in the state. Vermont has, I cannot think of the name of it, but I think you can do a survey as to what there are other partners out there that can help you with that. Efficiency Vermont, well, that's an easy one. There's some different assets out there that you can help kind of explore what is the important things in your local market that need to be in and be collected. And I also want to add on to what Michael was saying, talking a lot about the buyers. Your buyers need to look for it, but I would be it's just as important when you're getting a listing to make sure, as Ree said, that you're going through the house to look what is there, because I had a lot of MLSs who implemented greenfields, but it wasn't being utilized. So it's not only just implementation, but it's utilization. So the more we can encourage those fields to be put in, and while the auto-pop is awesome and amazing, we don't have that many markets that actually have the capabilities to do that. There's legislation around that, privacy issues, all that stuff. But if you can gather and grab on the listing side to put that data, is just really helps make a huge difference.
Great point, Danae. And the more data you can input, the better. Michael kept mentioning people can work off of what's available to them, and a lot of realtors will put information in the comment fields of a listing, which is great if somebody lands on that listing because of the location of the school district or something else. When it gets down to it, if somebody is searching for a home with a HERS rating and the HERS rating information is only in the comments, that won't be searchable for anybody. So the more data is better, and that's why I mentioned earlier, it doesn't necessarily need to be a fully certified, a third-party certified home. It does, however, need to be an aggregation of the individual features. And I think it's interesting to point out what Michael has said about the utility costs. Because, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Chicago data shows that even if those energy bills aren't super low, the simple fact that data exists in listings helps those properties move faster because the consumer can be aware that there isn't a certain threshold that they can expect.
It's that quantity aspect. They're looking at a home where they have no information and they have home information, they can make a more informed decision, and that's helping drive buyer decision. And as much, that information, and I appreciate what was commented on. Yes, it's so important at the time of that listing because you just don't know. I mean, these days, data that's out there isn't necessarily ever going away. So you get that one opportunity when your information, when you create a listing, is going to be out there. You want to make sure that you're doing the best you can to really represent that so you can be recognized for it, unless your client's property.
Great. Well, I have several more questions here, but I think we might need to schedule another webinar to dive deeper into some of these things just in respect of everybody's time. But I will close with this. I'd like to ask the panelists about the broader idea behind this. This data exists because there's been a drive and a boost that consumer home buyers are seeking this out. So what sort of comments could you offer to, or thoughts, final thoughts could you offer to our attendees today about the picture, the big picture, why behind and sharing information on green home features?
Oh, I can go first. The feedback we continue to receive is that, and it is varied. Some people are like, well, it doesn't matter. It's like, well, cell phones didn't exist a number of years ago either. So as the energy standards continue to change and the quality of the homes being constructed today far exceed the quality of homes that were built even as recently as 20 or 30 years ago, it's just another opportunity to differentiate the product that you have in the marketplace, whether it's for purchase or for resale. And those professionals that choose to be armed, to take the effort, NAR has great education, up to speed, and to be able to have some competency in this area, are able to easily differentiate themselves, given that the largest body in the realtor community are not informed and not taking these steps, despite the fact that homes are already being built to much higher quality and standard, and in these cases are also validated. When we look at the big picture, this trend is only going to increase.
Thank you,
This
Michael.
is Janae. I want to apologize because I had one of my staff members text me saying you can't advocate for printing things when you're on a green webinar. so I'll start there and say just like save the PDF or something. I don't know, but I'm sorry. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. And then the other piece being, they asked what the value of this is, and I did a presentation not too long ago where I pulled up, and I couldn't find it, but all the places that are saying this is the consumer demand, but the change is the consumer doesn't necessarily know how to articulate that I want a healthy home that allows my child to have 5 less ER visits because their asthma is reduced. To ask for that,
Yes.
And so that's part of us as educating the industry itself to meet that consumer's need. You're going to have a really happy client that, share with them, hey, we're looking at this house because it's done this way. It's very personal for me. My youngest has asthma, and literally the ER doctors at a point where they knew face because we were coming in with just issues related to breathing, and now we've gone through all the stuff in this house, and knock on wood, we haven't had pneumonia for 3 years. So I absolutely accredit that to the healthy house that we live in now. But the last part I want to cover is that it's about education. And so while some of the comments or questions that are coming up, it's, MLS took this out, or, maybe agents are reluctant to put this in because of liability. It's all that we just need to continue to educate ourselves, and that's where I'm hoping the resources that CMLS has put together will support all of this call in that, so that you have that information and those talking points. And so the progress that we have in the market in getting it to become that it is mainstream and that customers do find, I said it's like 71% say that it is important. It used to be like 50% or something. It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we still have to continue to be those advocates. We still have to educate, whether it be the MLS or the consumer. There's still education to be done, and that's why I'm really excited that we're able to do this webinar, gather everyone together today to help. You've gotten 1 or 2 things that you can go back and make a little more impact in your market for. But it's still education. Don't give up. Still be the loud, annoying voice. moving it forward because it's making an impact, and I think overall it's a really positive, helpful thing to do.
Final thoughts or comments from our panelists? Okay.
I was just say this is Meg. I would just encourage anybody on the call today to, whether you're an agent or an MLS, to really take the time and take a look at the Quick Start Guide, which is a really quick, easy, practical tool to use to see some quick things that maybe you can do or add into your MLS. Agents, you can look at these and use as suggestions tools to your local MLS if you're seeing these things out in the field and you're not seeing them in your database. Hopefully it will help to open up these conversations and increase engagement and member to MLS collaboration as well.
Well, very, very much to the three of you for being a part of this effort. I'm so glad that Janae brought up education. I think collaboration and education on this topic are absolutely what will keep it driving forward. And for those of you who are on the call right now, you're already ahead of the curve. You're already in the front of the line because you've taken the initiative to be on this sort of conversation. Hopefully, as the CMLS and NAR relationship continues to get their arms around the resources that we can assist each other with, resources like the Best Practices Guide and like the Quick Start Guide will help bridge the relationship between Realtor members and the MLSs around the country. And we're going to have some additional resources available from NAR this year that will answer some of those questions that people are asking about. Why does this matter? How are consumers asking for this? Who's valuing it? So, again, a big thank you to all of our presenters for being a part of this today. We will make the slides and the recording available if somebody would like to revisit. And as Michael said, please feel free to reach out and connect to any of us if you have additional questions. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.